Good afternoon, Honorable Chairperson, sir, and dignitaries, and all the co-panelists also. I am here basically from the background of academia, but I have been given a task of explaining about the innovation in the smart water networks and the ecosystems. I will try to justify the things on my part. Before going into that, I like to give emphasis on the water aspect, how water being important for our country and how it is being dealt in previous past. So as we know, the Indian population with comparison to world population, we are roughly 18% of the world population, but we had only 4% of the water resources. So as we look into the per capita of the water availability for India, it's much less than the what threshold set for the average for world per capita for the world populations. It is roughly 15 to 20% lesser than the threshold set for the world per capita. So this reminds us water availability for all the human beings, how we, especially for the Indian prospect, how we can ensure that thing. So Government of India has initiated that activity way long back, around 1974, the first Water Act. I can say the first act referring to the environmental perspective that India take up on before the Environmental Act were imposed in India. So the water essentiality in our system was before that thing also. Even before independence, there were several acts referring to water networks and the water supply chains. I like to give a small reference of IIT Roorkee. It has been set up for especially for the water canals. It was the first engineering college of Asia that was set for laying the water canals for Indian to supply the water for irrigation purpose. So our visionary Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi was first man who took the initiative of setting up the Ganga Action Plan in 1985. So he has a vision that if we can't take up at this point of time, so in the longer run, it will have a larger impact. So we have gone from the Ganga Action Plan 1 to then coming up to the Nawami Gange program that initiated in 2014 by our current Prime Minister Modi sir. So taking a reference of roughly 35 to 40 years of our initiative in the pollution activity of water, what we have achieved, many of people will think that we have nothing because our rivers are still dirty, we are not getting the safe drinking water for ourselves. I like to give you also one example that we hardly had any water resources available that is up to the drinking water level. And hardly 5 to 10% is up to the bathing quality level. So it's a reference point to have that we don't have a sufficient efforts being made by our government, but I would differ on that fact. The efforts were made from the government side that make us to still at this point that we have a sufficient water supply for the mass of the people. Especially referring to for the recent programs that has been made by the Jal Jeevan Mission. They have a vision that we go ahead with the supplying the tap water to the 5,000 villages to every rural household. It has to be completed by the this year end December. It was a huge task, and the Ministry of Jal Shakti is going ahead with that task, and maybe 80–85% the target they will be achieving by this year. It's not an easy task to have an installation of the tap water for every household of the village. But the task is that once the setup is there, now the challenge is to operate that system. There comes our innovation part of the smart water networks, how that will support us the operation maintenance, because if the system is there, the misuse will be happening. The water tap will be running whole day. I will give one example here. Suppose a tap is running continuously only for the one drop. What will amount of that water for the 1 year? It will roughly consumable water that a human being required for the 1 year. It's roughly one drop of water flowing 1 second from one tap. Its amount roughly 1,700 liters for a year if it is continuous running. Or one human being average required 4 to 5 liters daily basis. If you calculate that, it will roughly come on the same range. So it's only for the one tap if we are referring. If we have more than 50,000 or 1 lakh taps running on the same line, what will happen for Indian situations? So here comes the smart innovations where we look for, should required. So leak detection technology available all across the world. Many of the countries are using, especially the Israel has a good experience on that part. We tried to install in our Indian context also. We have set up for the several metropolitan city, not for the whole complete area, but the pilot scales were done. But the efficiency for our systems were not as accurate than for the foreign countries. There could be a chances of because the lack of knowledge, lack of the adoption of the technology. Coming forward from there, we also have a case of the Delhi this year. Also the Chennai case of the 2019. They have a water scarcity and we have a mismanagement of water for the Delhi for this year. Roughly 30 to 35% of the water of the Delhi goes in the wastage for the damaged pipelines. If you go roam around Delhi, you will find the several places you have a tempered pipelines and the water is flowing just like anything. These are mismanagement, nothing, but it's not the technology can do anything. It's a human behavior that has to be changed. We most of the time talk about the awareness. People are aware. I definitely understand that people are aware, but their behavior is not changing. They are admit on their part that I have to live like that only. Also, I'd like to give an example of high-rise building that we have in NCR. It has high pressure lines. Most of the water channels have high pressure lines. And many of the times I have seen that the geysers of the flat installed, they are leaking because of high pressure, their pipes got busted many of the times. Just because the small 500, 600 rupees, the pressure valves are required, they are not installing at their end. It's a simple technology. It's not a big challenge also for the builders or the flat owners, but they are not installing, but they keep ignoring those things. Just simple facts and figures that has to come forward and bring to the platform that we can have a much better resource recovery and the water saving things. Thank you so much. Must have given some facts and figures that enlighten you all. Thank you so much.